Greetings my fellow Bond fans and welcome back to the channel Some Bond Geek Talks About with me your host, the name's Stevens, Henry Stevens. Everybody, how'd you do? I hope you're enjoying yourself. I hope you're enjoying a good Bond film, a good Bond book, a good Bond video game, a good James Bond, whatever. And welcome and thank you for coming to the show, everybody. It's always nice to see you and talk to you about something I've thought about. And, let's start a discussion, everybody. That is one of the points of the channel. But everybody, listen. Before we get into today's topic, can I also just ask if you bear with me to a little house cleaning very quickly, everybody. Can I ask if you enjoy this video and you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to see more content? Well, there you go, everybody. Just comment and subscribe down below. And also, don't forget to click on the notification bell icon to see future updates on videos, everybody, because there is a plethora of them coming. And today, everybody, we're going to discuss something I've been thinking about a lot. And I was on a Facebook group and I was chatting to someone about this, and it just really got me excited and really thinking about this and actually how it does affect you. But essentially, everybody, it is this: does the era of Bond that you grew up in, the first sort of Bond films you watch, have an impact on the style on which you think the Bond films should be? Or are we more open to the different interpretations on an equal basis? Hear what I mean by this. Now, let's use me as an example when I discuss this. Now, I was born in 1990 something. So basically, in a nutshell, I grew up with the Brosnan era. Goldeneye was the first James Bond film I ever saw, and I grew up with Tomorrow Never Dies, World's Not Enough, Die Another Day, you could say. But of course, in those intervening years between them, I'd watched all the James Bond films. But when I think of Bond, when I think of my childhood, it is the 90s Bond films and up to 2002. And, that era, you could say, is very much known for modernising Bond, very much high octane on the action sequences, trying to push the envelope in every single direction, trying to give Bond a bit more three-dimensional character, you could say, showing a bit flawed. I mean, obviously in The World's Not Enough, you got Bond, breaking his arm. In Die Another Day, you got him captured. In Tomorrow Never Dies, you got the ex-love. And in Goldeneye, you got his friend who now, trying to push him in a more emotional way. You got all that stuff going on. So that's when, if I was to say now in turn, maybe watch a Roger Moore James Bond film, which is much more, I just love Roger Moore Bond films, I still do. But, very much, which is, you're not to laugh at it, you are to laugh with it. It's a slight over-the-top version of it, where every barman in the world knows who James Bond is, gets in the dry martini. There's a bit of tongue-in-cheek to it, a bit of Roger Moore in. Do I look at those films slightly less than I do maybe what I see in the Brosnan era? And the answer to that for me at the moment is, honestly, I don't think I do. But I think a lot of the regular general audiences who are not the biggest fans of Bond do. Example, again, if I may, in this is, obviously, I have a older brother and younger sister. We all grew up with the Brosnan era. Brosnan is our James Bond. But, for instance, my older brother, he is not a fan of the current state of recent Daniel Craig films. He feels that, they lack some of the charm and sophistication of the Pierce Brosnan era. They're just done to be more like Bourne. He feels that Daniel Craig doesn't really know how to play Bond that well. They're not generally much of a fan of it. And you could say that actually the same with my parents. My parents grew up with Roger Moore, you could say. And my mum's never been a fan of Roger Moore, but she likes the more serious Bond. So she actually, in turn, she really prefers more, even though she doesn't like Daniel Craig as Bond, the more serious, James Bond, than the more comedic side of things. And my dad, to be perfectly honest, I sometimes with my dad, he swings from one thing to the other. But this is the thing. I do believe, depending on what era you grew up with, it does define you. I think there are Bond fans out there, such as one of my personal favourites, Calvin Dyson. I always watch his channel. If you don't know his channel, please go online and search for him for his Bond channel. It is amazing. He says that his first Bond film he saw was Moonraker. That must have affected him. He loves Roger Moore Bond films. He loves that style in tow. I don't think he's ever said it online, but I would assume he maybe prefers that a bit more to maybe what Daniel Craig is doing. But, again, so everyone has a different style depending on how they grew up. But isn't that also another great thing about the Bond franchise? Because it's done swings and roundabouts between some more serious and some more, don't take it too seriously style. there's stuff in there for everybody. There's a style in the Bond franchise with a different actor for every single person, which I think is a really great thing. But as I said, everybody, I said at the beginning that, I mean, I got it Brosnan, I am maybe more akin to opening up to different interpretations and styles. And I think it depends on my mood. I mean, I'm just going to get some Bond films right here. So as I said, my favourite is Goldeneye. I love the style and tone. I also do love maybe a more serious touch like Skyfall. But if I'm in the sort of right mood for I want something fun and enjoyable and a thrill ride, maybe not as so dark and messy, I will just instantly go to, let's say this one, and actually I'll take these two actually, it's a perfect example. You know, depending on that mood I feel, I'll happily put on, say, Octopussy, which is a really great Bond film. I'll put on Spy Who Loved Me, my favourite of the Roger Moore films. Heck, I'm a Star Wars fan, I love sci-fi, so you want something crazy and just weird, Moonraker, any day of the week. But you have to be in the right mood for it. And that's another thing that I love about the different styles of Bond, is there is a Bond film for every mood that I think you can be in, whether you're wanting a guilty pleasure film, which I'll always defend this one. You know, James Bond film does have its campy, you know, Flash Gordon-esque guilty pleasure movie. I'm not going to say its name. You can decide for yourself, but in my opinion, that's what it is. And, you know, there is something there for everybody. But I do think, for the general consensus audience, it's people will go more towards what they remember as a kid. Because going forward, I think for the next James Bond actor, I wonder if it'll go a bit more back to the sort of late Pierce Brosnan era or the Roger Moore era, where it's a bit more tongue-in-cheek. I think people want something maybe a bit like that now. Again, it's just a speculative fan idea of that. So we might go back to that. A lot of old fans who maybe not a fan of the Daniel Craig style of things might suddenly get their investment back into James Bond, because it's going back to what they remember from their first viewing experiences. Because you could watch something maybe like a Roger Moore Bond film and think that's how Bond should be. You know, that, which is, to be fair, even though he did it absolutely brilliantly, very different to what it was in the books. But I still love it anyway, dearly. But everybody, that was just a really sort of quick, you know, analysis looking into, you know, how maybe your first Bond film can affect you and your perseverance of James Bond. As I say, just to sum up again, I grew up with Brosnan, so I was used to those certain styles things in a Brosnan film. So, you know, but I have been open to different versions of it, and I do like it depending on my opinion. But I have known people throughout my whole life, not just my family, but friends and all, who say they prefer a certain style of it being this way because that's what they remember. But everybody, I put this question to you and to anyone online on any Facebook groups, Instagram, YouTube channels who do your own Bond thing. Let me ask you this. Do you think that based on what the first film you saw on the franchise and how you got introduced to it, does affect your feeling about how you maybe prefer Bond being a certain way more than another way? Or are you very happy just to look at it saying, you know what, depends what mood I'm in? But I want to know, everybody, what are your thoughts on this? Comment down below and tell me what you think about it, because I'll be really interested. And let's get this conversation going. And tell me about your first experience. What was the first Bond film you saw and how you reacted to it? As always, everybody, my name's Henry Stevens, and this has been some Bond Geek Talks About. Goodbye.